Radio Row at the Super Bowl. Let's bring my guy Tone in. The segment. I love talking to him.
Big sales.
Hey, so what's Slay's deal?
Let me pull it up for you real quick. Also, while I'm doing that, I want to reflect on what our guy Matt said. He said, "Damn, it felt like 100 million." He felt like
it did. I thought it was more like 100.
But guess what? You want to know why? That tells you they're overpaying for crap play. They're overpaying. But let me pull up Slay's contract real quick for you. So, nonetheless, when it comes to Darius Slay, all right. Darius Slay's contract. So Darius Slay will be an unrestricted free agent in 2026. So from a financial standpoint, you're stuck with him in this year coming and 2025. Now, here's the thing. His dead cap hits are so harsh. This year, his dead cap hit is $35 million. In 2025, the final year of his deal, the dead cap hit is $24.1 million.
You want me to tell you what I found out about that? Through Rosenhaus's people? There's 4 Canes that work in that building that are friends of mine that work with Drew. Guess why they loaded up the cap hits like that?
For Slay?
For Slay.
Uh-oh.
This is what makes Rosenhaus.
He's a shark.
This is what makes me a shark. You ready?
I don't think I am.
Okay. Well, you better, because one of the guys I played with that's in his office too. So he'll come to him and they took less money. You know what he did? Okay. What they did was they backloaded the contract. Oh, they front loaded the contract with the cash, but Drew was smart to have high cap hits. Why? He'll never get another contract, the one he's in right now.
Right.
They're taking full advantage of the Eagles not being good on defense in drafting and not being able to understand that side of the football when it comes to drafting and getting what we've been talking about for months about the rookie latitude you get. They throw money after money. So you know what they're going to do to him? Drew Rosenhaus this offseason here, after the Super Bowl, will go to Howie Roseman, and you know what they'll say? Sure, we'll renegotiate and we'll lower the cap hits. Give us another bag of money.
That's insane. I'm about to blow your mind now. What do you think Darius Slay's market value is right now at age 33? What do you think it is?
$8 million.
All right. You said $8 million, right?
Yeah.
At age 33 today, Darius Slay's market value is $21.4 million.
Oh, he's got the Eagles over a barrel.
Sure it does.
My God almighty, I'm stunned. He's got a $20 million market value.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
if he were to tell the Eagles to pound sand and he were to go on the open market, Darius Slay would be a $20 million corner at 33.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, his average salary right now is $16.6 million.
So he'd make between 16 and 20.
Yeah, realistically.
Eagles have no leverage with him.
None. He's
Bradbury's the guy.
He's here to stay. Slay's here to stay.
He's here to stay for 2 years, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. He might retire an Eagle. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
no. By the way, he's had a great Eagle career.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has. Let me make that clear too. Darius Slay is not a bad player. I just feel like the age is starting to creep up. That's all.
Darius Slay has a $21 million market value.
Yep, 21.4.
That's easily the most shocking thing I've heard in the entire week.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. When I saw it, I'm like, this can't be real. So I refreshed the page, and 21.4 million came back up.
Now, what's his salary going to be in 24?
In 24, his base is going to be 1.2 million. His signing bonus is going to be $2 million. There's an option for $2.3 million. They restructured so far. There's $5.3 million. So in total cash, it says in yearly cash here. It says $13.1 million in yearly cash.
That sounds right, because they gave him like 26, didn't they, last year? A bag of money. Then they give him 26 to restructure.
Yeah, they restructured him and gave money up front. That's basically what they did.
Tone, they're not going to touch that contract. That contract is
they're not touching that.
Cap friendly.
That's even more to our point.
Yeah,
about finding a way to get Surtain in this building and offing the Bradbury deal. They got to find a way to get that deal out the building. They got to find a way.
Bradbury's base is what this year?
James Bradbury's base. James Bradbury's base is right now $1.2 million. That's his base.
Damn, how he got those base salaries down.
If you notice on all the Eagles contracts, how he finds a way to keep their base salaries is extremely low.
Why? Because the owner, unlike many owners in the league, Tone, give it front loads, not backloaded contracts. I'd say 99% of the contracts in the NFL are backloaded.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say the majority of the Philadelphia Eagle contracts, including Hurts, are front loaded.
And I think that's the smartest thing about them.
Me too.
That they're willing to bet on players, and I think that's why players like getting paid from them,
and that's why they overvalue them.
Right. That's it's funny how it always makes sense when you think about the money. It always makes sense. You just got to follow it.
Isn't it crazy? The money has clarity to it.
Of course.
It brings clarity to it. Wow.
It bet on people, and that's why they look at it like this. We can't afford to give up on them yet because we gave them so much money up front. We gotta ride them into that guarantee money's gone.
Of stones.
It does take a lot of stones. They gamble a lot, but when you think about it from a salary cap standpoint, it allows them to keep the salary cap manageable. We've never seen the Philadelphia Eagles in a situation like the Saints or the Bills where they're $80 million in the hole, 40. No. You'll never see that.
But it kills them when you don't get production from your corners.
It kills you when you don't get production. It kills you. So
it wasn't just one. Well, again, I think Slay was I think he was a casualty, and I think he was a friendly fire casualty of the poor play and the poor execution on defense. You know what? I would say that Darius Slay was probably as crippled with the defensive scheme as Jalen Hurts was crippled with the offensive passing scheme. Do you think that that's fair? That, Slay may have gotten – I'm not saying that he hasn't lost a step, but I'm saying surely, because if you look at his ranking and his grades and shit, they're not horrible.
Right. And, when you listen to people talk about him, like his peers, like the receivers that got to go against him and the people that played that other corners.
Yeah, he's going against WR1.
His peers consider him legitimately still to be a top 10 corner. Yep. Again, they play against him.
Another Pro Bowl year.
They feel like he's one of the better man-to-man guys. Those are his peers saying that. So when guys that actually line up against him say that, I got to listen to it. I got to at least value it.
Agreed. Right? Totally. Absolutely. All right. What do you make of this Britton Covey conversation? And by the way, I shared it with Tone. Some of the things he was saying to me, that he didn't want to go public and have a public dispute. He wants to talk to me privately. And I don't have a problem with that. Tone, I don't give a shit if he's my friend or he's not. Right. Because I don't want anything to cloud my judgment if I have to be critical of anybody.
And I respect that about you.
And it's not. Now, look, I respect the fact that he's a player, and I come from that angle, not the media angle. Mm-hmm. And so I respect him, and I'll always give him the benefit. But to me, this is another situation where he stepped out. He made comments. This is what makes me believe that, the Barrett Brooks comment, okay, well, somebody could misunderstand, because according to him, this was kind of misinterpreted wrong also.
You can't misinterpret that. No, we're not doing that this time. You can't misunderstand that. You're talking about players pointing fingers. You're talking about the message from the coaches to the players being miscommunicated. There's no confusion about that. There is no cleaning that up. It is what it is. And here's my thing about Brent Covey, right? You know, aside from what he's actually saying, here's my thing, Brent Covey. And I mean this with the utmost respect. My man, you're a punt returner. Stay in your lane. You're expendable. I don't mean any harm, but you're expendable. Be tread lightly, my friend. I'm pretty sure that Eagles PR group already has you on speed dial right now.
Oh yeah.
So tread. This is number 2, the strike 2, and we got a long off season still. So strike 3, typically you out. So that's that. But as far as what he said, all it does is add credence to what we already knew. You know, and it also, in my humble opinion, it furthers the narrative that Nick Sirianni had no control over this burning ship. None. Like, how can, like, that's why when I hear people say or try to defend Sirianni in a way saying, like, nah, I don't believe he lost the locker room. I don't believe, how can you say that? How can you say that when you hear players talking the way they're talking? How can you say that when you go 1-7 in your final 8 games? We're not talking about a 2-game skid or a 3-game skid. Not even we're talking about an 8-game skid here. That's half your season. Is it not?
Yeah, no, my problem with it is too that you're talking about internal locker room.
Internal stuff.
That it's between the players, you witnessed it, and then you're speaking of it, which is supposed to be a taboo. Like, if you've got something to say and you see something like that, I can't tell you, Tone, how many times you can be in a locker room and you can see something or hear something, or you know something about a particular person's private life because it's in the locker room, that you're not supposed to say anything publicly. And especially with a culture that's in the building, you're supposed to have a public perception that everything is staying focused and we're on the right track and we're in this thing together. When you walk out of line like that, now maybe because of social media and because of the way we are today, and I'm not giving the kid an excuse. You know, back then, Tone, the only people that you really have were beat reporters. You didn't have any other vehicle. Now, you say something on Radio Row, which to me was, I couldn't believe it. You're in Vegas where the world is right now, and you're barking about the place melting down like that. I mean, dude, what the hell are you doing, man? Now you're saying your coach had no control. He had no answers. The players and the coaches couldn't connect with one another. Every single thing that we thought. Now, I'll say this again about Sirianni. Okay. Do you actually believe that that guy has control of his own future?
It's no way.
How do you have control of you? How can you turn this thing around when you have no control of your own destiny?
Yeah, I was talking to John McMullen. I think it was yesterday. I think we did a football 24/7, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was yesterday. And in so many words, you know, we were discussing the fact that every move they've made this offseason is a clear indication of your lack of faith in your head coach. How can we sit here and say Nick Sirianni still has the respect of the locker room, still has the respect in the building, when the organization clearly has made every move to indicate they've lost faith? They've lost faith. As a matter of fact, if you think about every move they made, even since the Doug Peterson era, right? This organization, this front office, these guys up top, they're so arrogant, right? And this is why I say this. They fired a Super Bowl winning head coach, and all it took was for Nick Sirianni to slip up once, and they stripped him of everything. That adds more credence to the fact that they believe they're the reason why they win. Not the coaches. They fired these coaches knowing damn well that defense lacked personnel. So that tells you what? They believe you've been saying it all season. They believe the coaches were the issue. Yep. So therefore, they have more faith in their process than than the actual coaches.
They haven't really pivoted. They stayed the course. What they did was gather more control. What they did was they grabbed more control back.
Yeah, exactly. They have completely neutered the head coach. You fired a Super Bowl winning head coach, and we're supposed to believe you still have faith in Nick Sirianni. We're supposed to believe he still has some sort of pull in that building. All it took was for him to slip on one. If you really think about Nick Sirianni's era, really. Okay, he started off 2-5, but if you really think about Nick Sirianni's time in Philadelphia, he really only slipped up once. He slipped once, and look what happened.
Let's expand on that. Watch this. Doug was fired because he had 4 wins. Nick Sirianni was on the chopping block because the way he handled the team.
Right. And that back end 1 and 7.
How that you had a superficial reason to fire Doug. You had an internal reason and a philosophical reason to fire a guy with no matter what he did, you were going to fire him. There was conversation. Suppose that they were talking to Belichick, whatever. You had a conversation of something where you were debating about this guy, and 667 and 3 playoff runs had no bearing.
No bearing.
The only reason that they were able and how he was able to get him out of the building, Doug, which they never gave a chance to turn around.
Never. And also, real quick to add to your point, when you think about the Doug situation, not once did any report or anything come out saying, "Oh, he lost that locker room." Not once did we think that. We just felt like they underperformed. Guys was injured. Things, Doug and the Howie relationship started to sour.
Meltdown.
Right. But it was never about Doug losing the people. It was never about that.
I need your help. I need your help on this.
Okay.
At the end of the Peterson run,
right,
was there a lot of conversation about the GM versus the coach?
Yes, but there was also conversations about Doug versus Carson too. There was conversations about that. The rumor was Doug and Carson didn't speak most of that season. That was the rumor. But I had a hard time believing that. A head coach not speaking to the quarterback all year.
I'm going to ask Frank about that.
It's weird. How you tell me you played, right? Is it possible for a quarterback to go extended periods of time without talking to the head coach?
Is that Doug possible? The play caller? Was Doug the play caller?
Doug was the play caller at that
How's
time.
that possible?
How's that possible?
So when you're going over a game plan on Saturday night and you got the head coach in your room and you're talking about game plan and what you're going to do against Seattle or what have you, and you're sitting there telling me that he didn't show up to those meetings talking about a game plan of what you were going to do on Sunday,
right?
That's utterly impossible.
It doesn't. And also to add more,
it's impossible
to add more fuel to that fire, right? Remember, they fired Doug first before they traded Wentz.
Yeah,
they fired Doug first in hopes that it would get. They fired Doug hoping that it would flip Wentz so he would stay. That's why they hired Nick Sirianni, a Frank Reich disciple. that was their real plan. But they didn't anticipate Carson still wanting out. So that tells me, did Carson and Doug really have an issue, or was the issue between Doug and the top?
No, it's Doug and the top. I don't buy it. I think it was manufactured by the Eagle PR department. I'm going to make another.
And guess what? The Eagles are prone to find themselves a scapegoat.
Yep.
That's how they're built. They're going to find one.
Dude, there was no problem between Doug Peterson because Doug's the play caller then after Frank left.
He took over.
Okay, he took over the play calling? Shit, dude. It's impossible not to talk to your play caller. You talk to him in practice. You talk to him in meetings. You talk to him in individual meetings. You talk to him in offensive meetings. You talk to him Saturday night. You know what a coach and a play caller will do and the head coach? The quarterbacks get their own rooms on travel days when we have to travel. Everyone else has to share a room, okay? No one gets a separate room unless it's in your contract. Quarterbacks, including the backups, all get their own room. And you know what they have? They have a meeting room in there. Head coach will come down, and you'll come down back in the day when they had projectors. They'll sit there, and they'll look at the old VCRs or what have you. They'll go over the game plans, and they'll start talking. It's feasibly impossible for Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson not to have spoken that final season because Doug's the play caller.
Yeah, and that was the rumor.
It was a 24/7 relationship.
Yeah, when I heard it, I was like,
made up.
When I heard it, I'm like, how is that even feasible?
It's not. It's not possible.
So yeah, again, the Britton Covey stuff coming out, it's just more par for the course, if we're being honest.
Can I give you my aluminum foil conspiracy thing here?
Let's put them on
how Sirianni got in the building.
Let's put them on.
So Big Sil's sitting around last night thinking the way I do, because I like to think this way sometimes because I'm always thinking about topics. I got little sheets that I write down.
And
you said Doug was fired first, right?
Yes.
Okay. as they were getting ready to try to move Carson Wentz, wasn't there a comment that was made by the organization prior to him being moved? There'll be an open conversation, an open competition this coming year between Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz.
They wanted Carson to come back and compete. Yes.
Okay.
Meanwhile, they already paid him, but they wanted him to come.
For me, I thought that was a fundamental flaw because you lower the value of your quarterback, who you just paid that $38 million a year to, where you should have just kept that internal. But for some reason, they wanted that smoke signal out. You know why? They were telling other teams were willing to move him. And they wanted them to know if there was a buyer out there.
They wanted to figure out his value without figuring out his value.
Correct. And they wanted to see if there'd be any takers. So Frank gets the job in Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm. Nick gets the job in Philly.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll take that Wentz contract on. And you can have Nick as your head coach. Take Nick as the head coach. We'll take the contract on. Or say hated him. It just seems to me that, and Frank said it here, the owner called me and went like this: "What do you make of Nick Sirianni?" And everyone in Philly was like, "Who the fuck is Nick Sirianni? You guys were talking about Lincoln Riley and these other guys that were going to be the head coach."
We were.
And get this. And all of a sudden, hey, Nick, you can get this job. I'm going to help you get it. You got to go in there and you got to work with that dude. You got to walk around in Howie Roseman knee pads. Frank wanted Carson.
Mm-hmm. And Carson had a good season, if we're being honest.
Had a really good year. 3,800 yards, 29 touchdowns, 6 picks, 67 completion percentage.
He had a good year.
I'll tell you what, man, that guy Irsay hasn't had a better quarterback season in the building since him.
That's a fact.
Since Andrew Luck.
That is a fact.
Maybe Phillip Rivers.
It's true.
Okay, so Frank wanted hey, you could have Nick take my boy over here. We had great success in Philly together. Mm-hmm. I believe in you, Carson.
Mm-hmm. Frank was like, "Hey, Nick, I can get you that interview, but you got to nail it. I'm gonna give you the interview, but you got to nail it. And this is what you say, and this is what you don't say."
And that's how you landed the head coach. Because were you not shocked that he parachuted in from nowhere?
He came out of nowhere. The moment he was hired, everybody was like, "Who is this guy?" Everybody across the world.
No one ever tied in. Wentz to Indy, Nick to Philly. Steichen to Philly. Gannon to Philly.
I didn't think any of it was a coincidence. Just the idea of, Doug getting fired, and then because remember, they really thought that they could persuade Carson to stay with that Nick hire. They thought that, but Carson still wanted out. So again, to your point, they felt like, okay, we got to find a way.
Yeah, but I think Frank wanted Nick. I think Frank wanted Carson in Indy because they were just coming off of Jacoby Brissett. Because it went Rivers retired. Rivers retired.
Right.
It went Jacoby Brissett, Frank's first year, then Rivers. Then when Rivers retired, he needed a quarterback.
Right.
And the only quarterback that was out there that was really with any kind of name at that time, if I'm not mistaken, there could have been someone else, was Carson Wentz. And the Eagles floated it out because what was the most important thing that they did that offseason? There's going to be an open competition between Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz. Mm-hmm. Let every team know that he's available.
Right. And I think they came out with that. And again, this is us again, tinfoil talk. I think the moment they put that story out, that's what that turned Carson Wentz off the most. And he was like, "I'm not competing." Because again, because remember, typically
because they told him he's not brought in
to
compete with you. He's brought in as a safety belt.
Typically in these situations, organizations either choose coach or quarterback, and they typically they always choose the player. They always choose the player over the coach, right? So that was step number one. Yeah. They chose Wentz over Peterson. That was step one. Then they really wanted Wentz to stay because what team wants to take that dead cap hit? They wanted
Do you
him
really think Howie wanted him to stay?
I would like to think so from a financial standpoint. I would like to think so.
Damn, look at this guy going back to the money. You're right. Because you can't justify going to the owner.
Remember, that was the largest dead cap hit taken in NFL at the time. That was the largest.
If I'm not mistaken, it was his, and then the second one was the Matt Ryan hit following year to Indianapolis.
Right. So again, I always try to go back to the money. They wanted Wentz to stay, but then the moment, because again, I think once Nick came here, they really felt like that connection, the Frank Reich connection, would motivate Wentz to stay. But then once they enter that whole competition thing and Wentz is going to have to earn it, they turned him off. And that's when they had to hurry up and say, okay, how can we move him? Hey, Frank, you want him? You know, they had to scramble. I don't think they really had the full intentions of moving Carson that offseason, but they put their foot in their mouth.
You know what kills me is that why so much drama in the offseason with this team?
When it doesn't.
Why is there so much drama with them?
Because they're too antsy. They get nervous when things don't really click right away. And that starts at Jeffrey Lurie. I talk to John McMullen about it all the time. And one thing he says, and again, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but
so much drama.
But, you know, and to paraphrase, he always says how Jeffrey Lurie is just he's too trigger happy when things go wrong. He's too trigger happy. He gets a little too antsy. He gets too desperate when things go wrong. And, you know, lo and behold, that's why you have entire coaching staffs getting fired, you know, right after one season, which goes back to my original point saying they have more faith in their process than do. They have more faith in their own process than they do actual people.
Correct.
Nick Sirianni throughout his whole tenure as the Eagles head coach, he only had, one mess up, really? He only had one slip up.
Yeah.
Really, if we're being honest, just one. Your team still won 11-6. You know, and again, this is me thinking in the macro, right?
I got it.
11-6. He really had one slip up. You know, you went 1-7 in the final stretch. Okay, the guy was just in the Super Bowl.
Games in 2 years, if you want to look at it like that too.
Right. So why are you overreacting? Perfect example. When you brought in Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon had no experience as a DC. Shane Steichen had one year of experience as an OC. So what's the difference between Brian Johnson having no experience as an OC in the NFL and Sean Desai having 1 year experience as a DC, right? The difference is, and I always go back to the money, and I said this to John last night, here's the main difference. They have more patience for Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon because no real money was involved yet. The moment Jalen Hurts got that money, the moment he signed that contract, their clock started ticking. And the moment they felt like they couldn't get through or they had some kind of setback with Brian Johnson and Sean Desai, they offed them because now money's involved. And the money will always make you do crazy things.
Absolutely it will. It makes you panic because, again, the number one rule in the NFL is you pay them, you play them.
And we always talk about that 4-year window.
That's right.
They're feeling the heat. And they look at it like this. We can't afford to waste time.
I'm going to make this point to you one more time about Hurts in the organization. And I know you have great faith in him. But I just think with all the drama around him and the way that they're acting, and when you hear Britton Covey talk, as long as Nick Sirianni's in that building, there's not a chance in hell Jalen Hurts is going to have success. And I know you think he's got superpowers.
No, and that's to your point.
Okay, let me finish now. I know you think he's got these superpowers, and he's going to be able to fight the kryptonite. Okay, you got to remember something. Nick Sirianni is to Jalen Hurts what kryptonite is to Superman.
I hear it. I'm with you. That's why. And again, me and John agree with this. Why keep him in the building if you don't believe he has the answers? Why keep him? Why? Oh, I know why. Because your ego is attached to it now. And you guys can't afford to wear that badge of, oh, we fire head coaches that have winning records. It's pride.
Okay, so wait. He is in the building because the front office.
He's in the building because of PR.
But he's not in the locker room because the players want him there.
He's in the building because it's public relations related. That's my opinion, and I'm not moving off that. He's in the building because they don't want to take the hit from the media. I firmly believe that, and I'll stand on that, and I'll have that conversation with anybody.
Dude, he's a doorman at a strip club.
Listen, he's a runner. He gets the coffee and all that.
Hey, what do you need, honey? A Kreller?
Hey, listen. You've been in the locker room, right? You know the guy that always comes in with the laundry bin and all the players are throwing their jock straps in there? He's the one that's him. He pushes that in. That's
hey,
him.
man, get this. I put an extra shirt in there. I'm going to wear that tonight. Can you drop that in my laundry bag for me? Hey, man, here's an extra 10, 15 bucks. I got a shirt. I need this tonight. Going to have practice. Going to have a walkthrough. But I've got an event. Can I throw it in my laundry bag? Go ahead, Sills.
And guess what, Sills? You know what's a shame? Here's the sad part about it. I'm sure Nick Sirianni is a dope dude. I'm really sure he is. But for this organization to not only put Sean Desai in a situation like this, like they did, and put Nick Sirianni in a situation like this, it's insulting. It's insulting. The reason we are talking about him like this is because they put him in this position.
You see, I said this in the first hour about you. That's why when people go like this to me, because like when you and I opened the show prior to starting the show, you're going to be a better guy to talk about the Eagles than me. And I'll tell you why, because you have love for them. And there's going to be a point where you're going to drop that love and you're going to quantify a pick or a take, I should say. You just did it. You just did it in front of me. I bet that Nick's a good guy. I don't give a shit if Nick's a good guy or not.
I'm with you. No, but I'm with you there.
But you see what you did there? Because, you have empathy. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, that is true. I do empathize with him.
But I don't know. But don't ever have empathy for the NFL ever, because they don't have empathy for you. When they raise ticket prices on you, Tone, you think they give a shit about your empathy? When your football team melts down like that, charging you $25 for a Coke and $30 for a freaking beer or a hot dog?
But I'm trying to find
an organization.
I'm trying to find that balance, Sills. It's a balancing act. I'm trying to find that balance.
That's an organization, not just Philly. That's a whole. The Shield has no empathy. There's a reason the Super Bowl trophy is steel, cold. When you grab it, it's not hot. It's cold. There's a reason for that.
I hear you, man.
That's why, hey, listen, there's great organizations in the world that you have great empathy for. They ain't it. They do not. I mean, look at last year, how many dude, you could sit there between the Trump White House and the Biden White House and the Nick Sirianni White House and go, I can't tell who lies more. I can't tell who lies more.
That's another thing, too. They make that man go up there and lie all the time.
Dude,
this is a shame.
Yeah, but hey, $8 million to fall on a sword?
Hey, so you'll lie too, right?
Hell yeah.
I'll lie my ass off.
Hey, what do you want me to do?
Hey, Howie, what do you need me to say?
I made a play.
I got you.
Sure. Who do you want me to cover for? Jeffrey?
Gotcha.
Okay, sure, no problem. But that's not really a coach.
Right. And as long as you know that, see, here's the thing, right?
Yeah, but you're killing Hurts.
Yeah, and that's another conversation. That's a whole other. See, it's funny when you think about it from that perspective, because Hurts comes from the Saban tree. And to be in a situation like this is probably like, this is a goddamn comedy show.
Hey, but wait a minute. We just said something about us falling on the sword for $6 million. Damn, Jay, let's say something. Hey, I make $55
Hey, that's $50 million. You're right, man.
Hey, you want me to start barking about what? Some coach? You want me to bark against the guys who are paying me that? Not happening. And remember what Boomer said about learning to play with the contract? Okay, I mean, look, I don't hear Mahomes doesn't talk shit on Andy. Mahomes doesn't talk shit on Kansas City. Mm-hmm. Hey, those guys are dropping passes against the Eagles. Hey, man, I trust my guys. We're going to be good. We'll be okay.
That's why
when you make that kind of money, Tone, you're not going to be a leader. You're going to be more of a
politician,
but you're also going to be a corporate board of directors guy. You're not going to say anything disparaging against your company or your people who run your company.
That's why,
dude, the more money you make, the less you say.
That's why politicians don't speak ill of their investors.
That's right, because you know why?
They?
They're sitting there getting, hey, what? Intel Z, Waste Management is going to have what? They're going to have a drop in earnings this coming quarter. Yeah. So if you can give us that land deal, hey, dump the stock. Hey, before you know it, Nancy Pelosi, who makes $120 million a year, has got $97 million in the bank. Dude, that's across the board with everybody. The more money you make, the more influence and power you have, the less you say, Tone.
Of course. It's like, oh wait,
I think it hurt. I think they're hurting Jalen Hurts so much.
Yeah.
With the accessibility. Dude, when I heard Jeff Kerr, and he kind of didn't want to really say it.
He blew my mind when he said that, though.
Dude, but you guys, you know what he did? And I'll give hey, you know why Rob has a job at WIP and I don't? Rob was smart. He kind of walked over that because let me tell you something. When you
see, I don't have to do that. So
no, but Rob is smart.
Right, of course.
Hey, I'm not. Okay, and he's right. But when you hear this, the Eagles just don't make the guy accessible. Okay. That's Jeff Kerr saying that. Barrett Brooks said the same thing, and he got killed for it.
It was kind of similar when Carson Wentz was in the building. Carson Wentz and Barrett didn't really have a solid relationship because Barrett was like he was stern. He was stern with him. Every time Barrett would try to speak to him, Carson would kind of give him the cold shoulder. I'm not saying that's what Hurts is doing, but I'm saying that's to your point about that.
But I don't think they're helping him.
Because anybody that talk about Hurts, they say, "Oh yeah, you can talk to him for sure. He's approachable." But the handlers, they make it difficult, not him. The handlers.
What is it so important to guard the message or guard the messenger? Are you afraid what he'll say, dude? I got to tell you, the way they run their team, and for the amount of success they have. It's really shocking.
They run it like the Pentagon. No message gets in or out without our approval.
Government.
Yeah, it's like a government.
It really is like the government.
No message gets in or gets out without our approval.
Yeah, but don't you see that they create their own? I like that word, Rico. They create their own landmines.
Yeah.
So you think Hurts is going to win a Super Bowl with the way the current insecure, okay? You think he's going to win a Super Bowl in this environment?
Push. It's a push. Roll the barrel. Roll the barrel. Oh,
you know when Hurts' best opportunity will be to win a Super Bowl again? 3 years from now. 2 years. This coming year, this offseason. In 2025. He'll be back on track again when they dump this guy. And, again, Tone, it's like you fired your entire army, but kept the general that led you to defeat in the war.
Exactly. That's why
you fired your entire army.
That's why I really believe Kellen Moore, he's a smart guy, but you brought him in because you brought him in because he's the
Yeah, hey,
I try so hard to stay serious.
Yeah, man. You kept Colonel Custard and everyone else that fought for him. Hey, I know he died on the hill of Bull. I know he died there too. But I'm saying, so you kept Custard. Everyone else, you're gone. I don't care. Let's get a new army in here. You led me to a bad war. Who cares?
But yeah, it's that's why I don't see Nick Sirianni being here long term, and I don't think he does either. I think he's already having that foresight, because you don't make the moves they made from a coaching perspective and think that man's going to be here beyond next season or even the following season after that. I think Kellen Moore is more their cup of tea than a Cliff Kingsbury, because Kellen Moore is willing to play ball a bit more. Kellen Moore is kind of the best of both worlds for them. Yeah. He calls offense the way they want it called, and he's going to play ball. And I think if things start off slow, Nick Sirianni's out. Kellen Moore because of the interim.
It's an easier transition.
It's an easier transition that you can make sense of. You can sell that to the fan base, but it's hard to sell firing a guy that was in the Super Bowl the year before. It's hard to sell that, but you can sell a slow start, firing him and making Kellen Moore your interim. That's an easy sell, right?
Yeah, completely an easy sell. All right, what do you got Sunday, dude? I know what the Mahomes thing is hard for me too.
I got Chiefs. I got Chiefs winning the game. 27-24. Chiefs 27-24.
I said this, if the 49ers don't score first and that defense doesn't show up, it's going to be a long night.
I think this game is decided strictly by that 49ers defense.
Completely. You can't let Mahomes get into a rhythm, because if he starts to get into a rhythm and Pacheco gets going,
the game's over. Yep. And also, I'll take it a step further. If Brock Purdy has more than 35 pass attempts, they lose the game.
I think if he has a turnover, I think Mahomes could have a turnover and still win. Because how many times have you seen that guy throw himself out of trouble?
Agreed. Yeah.
See, that's the magic with him. That guy could throw two. Do you remember that AFC title game against the Titans when they were down 21-0?
That was insane.
Back and beat them like 10.
I don't know how they did that, but that was insane. Also, I don't think this is a game where I honestly think the Niners are going into this game saying to themselves, "We want to run the ball." They want to get Christian McCaffrey going. They don't want Brock Purdy to feel like he has to win this game. That's not what they want. They want to keep Brock Purdy between 23 and 28 attempts.
I think McCaffrey's the key to this.
He is the key. If the Chiefs do a good enough job keeping McCaffrey from hurting them, they're going to win this game outright.
Yeah. McCaffrey's the key.
Steve
Wilkes, the D coordinator for the Eagles, versus Andy Reid. Whew. Man, I mean, I like Steve, but that defense hasn't showed up.
And also,
Purdy, they did come back in the Detroit game, but you can't play 30 minutes of football against Andy, or you know what he's going to do. And Tone, I don't know if you see it the same way I do, but this looks like almost a complete.
It's mirror. It's parallel.
It's a mirror image of last year's Super Bowl. The better roster, San Fran.
Absolutely. You have you have two quarterbacks that came on the scene out of nowhere. Everyone doubted them. You have these dominant wide receivers, the dominant tight end, the dominant offensive line, the running game. You have the defense that's getting sacks and forcing turnovers. But here's the thing, though. They're talking a lot about this Chiefs run defense and how it can be had. I wouldn't speak so soon about that, because Spagnuolo, he's so smart. Entering that Super Bowl last year, the Eagles were, I think, top 5 in rushing. The 49ers are top 5 in rushing this year. And guess what happened when the Eagles got into that Super Bowl? All of a sudden, we saw the Philadelphia Eagles offense not able to run that ball. We saw those running backs become obsolete. Spagnuolo is a very smart dude. He knows exactly what to do. And whatever you think you got figured out about that Chiefs defense, you better think again. I firmly believe that Chiefs defense is going to come in and really go crazy. I believe that. I really believe that.
If that Kansas City Chiefs team wins that Super Bowl, be
their
third and fourth attempts, I would make this proclamation to you that it will be a better dynasty than the Cowboy dynasty.
Has anyone? I'm so glad you said that. Has anyone had? Think about what it took to get here, right?
The Cowboys didn't have a salary cap error.
Right, that's true too. Have we seen a quarterback and a team go through the type of playoff gauntlet that we've seen them go through in the past 2 years?
Not since the 80s.
Listen, last year, right? Mahomes went through. He went through Burrow. He went through Allen. He went through because they were the number 1 seed last year. He went through Burrow and went through Allen last year. This year, he went through Tua and the Dolphins. Went through Buffalo and Josh Allen. Then, remind you, on the road in Buffalo.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then ran
that game was close.
And then ran through the Ravens.
Wasn't it a missed field goal in Buffalo?
I think
to tie the game up late.
It was something I can't remember. But then they ran through Baltimore at M&T Bank on the road again against the hottest team in football. Beat them.
Put them away.
Put them away. 17-10. They stopped that number one rushing attack. Who am I to sit here and say the Niners are just shoo-ins?
No way.
No way.
This is going to be. See,
no way. I'm done betting against Patrick. I'm done.
I think this is a coin flip game.
I can't.
I do not believe that this is a game where you go, well, the Niners are favored by 2.5. I'd be like this.
Okay. All right.
Sure don't feel it.
At all. Not to me.
Okay. I mean, will your perception of Andy Reid change at all if he gets another Super Bowl win?
I mean, it would solidify what I already know, but I mean, I already felt like Andy Reid was one of the best coaches we've ever seen. And his ability. I
can't believe how you Philly guys are. And I find it to be, I'm not saying your takes are wrong. I'm really not. And you know what? I tease you and Rob and all you guys. But at the end of the day, listen, I talked to Tony Dungy. He knows Andy very well. The whole kid dying thing was a disaster.
Yeah.
You know, Tony lost his son when he was the head coach at Tampa. And it really affected Tony coaching the last couple of years there in Tampa. It totally, it was terrible.
And also, I don't want it to imply that they fired Andy because he was a bad coach.
No.
Andy has never been a bad coach. Never.
I think 14 years is enough.
That's a long time to be somewhere. And
I mean,
you get 5 cracks at it.
Coach in NFL history that lasted 14, 15 years doing a Super Bowl. And he just hung there and almost got there. But I mean, I'm trying to think of a guy who was in one place for 15 years and didn't win.
And had 5 cracks at it. 5.
I mean, I can't think of somebody.
Let me ask you this. If you're running a Fortune 500 company and you got somebody in your company for 15 years and they keep missing the mark, they're talented. You know they're talented, but they keep missing the mark. At some point, you're going to say, all right, you're talented, and we're not letting you go because you're talented. We're letting you go because maybe we need another mind in the building.
But my why did you go from that to Chip?
I can't speak for that now.
Andy's one thing. You see, get this. When you replace Don Shula in Miami,
I don't think you can
with Jimmy Johnson.
Right. And also to your point, I don't think you can replace a guy like Andy. And I think that's why they pivoted so hard. You can never replace that guy.
Okay, I see what you're saying, because check it out. Look what Jimmy did. You got to here's the thing you got to remember with Coach Johnson. Jimmy replaced Tom Landry and Don Shula. I mean, it wasn't like he walked into the building. I mean, he was the next dude. But
still, that's hard to do.
Oh, shit, you bet it is. I want to replace the dude that replaced the dude.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, I don't want anything to do with that. So
that's why we look at Nick Sirianni kind of funny, because
you replace the dude.
You got to replace the dude. It's hard now. The next coach in Philly is going to have an easier time because he's replacing the dude. To your point, that replaced the dude. See, it's kind of hard to.
Chip is creative. He does have great,
but he was too. Chip was ahead of his time. Chip was ahead of the league. Is not even.
Tell you his problem. I'll tell you flat out what is
the bedside manner. You tell me all the time. It's the bedside manner. You tell me all the time.
Not only that. Okay, here's the massive problem in his approach compared to college ball. You have 100 guys and 85 on scholarship. When you're in the pros, you got 53 dudes. And when you trying to run 85 plays, and you're trying to do 85 plays in a game with that high up-tempo offense, it doesn't wear your offense out. It wears your defense out. And by the end of the time, he wore and I don't even know this for a fact. Was there a lot of guys on IR at the back end of his time?
That's a good question. I would have
when you have so limited guys and you're trying to run 85 plays and you're starting to get 3 and outs, dude, you're going to run your defense into the IR tent. And you're just not going to last. And that's why he started out, if I'm not mistaken, didn't he start out with double-digit win seasons?
Yes. His first 2 seasons were double-digit wins. And then
then it started fading out because the personnel started getting injured all the time, and they couldn't keep that high tempo up.
Right. Okay, let me see if I can find The injury. So Chip Kelly got there in what, 2013?
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, he was supposed to be the Bucs head coach. He turned it down.
Here we go. 2013. 2013 Philadelphia Eagles injury. So in 2013, we had let me see if I can find people who are on IR. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys on IR.
That's his first year.
That was the first year. Yeah, 6 guys on IR the first year. In 2014, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys on IR in 2014.
Okay, take a look at that 15 year now.
And then the 15 year. Whoa. Okay. In 15, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You had 9 players on IR. So it kept going up. It kept going up. And you had a lot. They had a lot of injuries on the back end. Yo, let me pull this up to you right now. This graphic is insane. I got to show it to you, Sills. I have to show it to you. Let me pull it up because it shows you. It breaks it down pretty well. So this is the last year. All right, here we are. So,
wow.
Let me get rid of this ad. All right, so this is the team injuries from the 20 to 2015 Philadelphia.
Is that his final year?
His final year, right? Pat Shermer took over at the end, but this is his final year. Chip Kelly, he went 6-9, but the Eagles went 6-10 that year as a whole. So here we go. This is the key. You have the green is probable, yellow is questionable, orange is doubtful, and then it gets worse and worse and worse, as you can see. So I'm gonna zoom in here. So team injuries. Look, just pay attention to the back end. No, just pay attention from November on. Look how it piles up when you go down. And this is the defense side that goes to your point. Well, not defense, I'm sorry. I think they have these names in alphabetical order. These aren't separated based off of offense or defense. I think they just have. Yeah,
look at all the injuries.
Look at all these on the back end. This is all back right here.
And there lies why Chip ran out of gas there too. Besides a shitty bedside manner, you can't run 85 plays in an NFL and run that kind of tempo when you don't have depth. You just don't. Probable
95.6%
of his team was probable every week.
And question 50%
of his roster was questionable.
It's insane.
Think about that. Every Sunday, half his team was questionable on whether they would play or not. He ran his team into the IR tent.
He ran him into the hearse. Killed those guys.
Because like you said, now if you're running that kind of style of offense today, you're talking about that's 10 years ago almost his final season.
And now teams are rotating more linemen now, more like D-line, all that kind of stuff.
The rosters have expanded, and your practice squad has expanded. Now you're able to keep more guys on your club. That's why he's getting looks now for OC. You know what? He's going to leave.
He's supposed to be looking at a job in Ohio State now for the OC job.
Ohio State, because O'Brien's going to take the BC job.
Yep, Boston College, yeah.
I appreciate it, Bruce. Thank you. Yeah, no, Chip Kelly's going to be back in the NFL. And you know what's going to happen? He's going to get back in the NFL. He's going to get a coordinating job somewhere. And I'll tell you what, Chip Kelly with – shit, man, I'd like to see Chip Kelly with Jalen Hurts. Man. But, that would never –
yeah, that would never happen.
I'm just saying, that's the kind of style of quarterback he wants.
I'm curious to see Chip Kelly with Justin Fields.
Wow.
Imagine
Chip wrong, man. He's a good offensive-minded guy. He's just a dick.
Yeah. I never felt like he didn't know. I never felt like he didn't know football. Let me make that clear too. I knew Chip Kelly was a smart guy, but
they gave him too much power, man. He shouldn't have been in charge of personnel.
They gave him way too much power. Way too much power. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
You see MG's going that, Chip Kelly's a garbage can. Well, why are teams then interviewing him for the offensive coordinating? You know that he's interviewed for 5 NFL offensive coordinating jobs? There's a reason for that. Tony, he interviewed for the Washington Commanders OC job.
Mhm.
He interviewed for the Pittsburgh
Seattle.
Steelers job
And Seattle.
and the Seattle job.
Yeah. People
He's going to
clearly
be back in the league again as an offensive coordinator somewhere.
all he did was just throw out the fishing line. And
Yeah.
he's gonna be patient. That's all he
He's
did.
telling them
This year was about
look,
the fishing line. That's all he wanted to do this year.
UCLA is never going to do shit because UCLA doesn't have enough money when it comes to nil. The school doesn't support the football program, and it never has, like the hoop program. And he wants out.
Mhm.
He'll make as much money being a coordinator somewhere in the league than he will, and he'll have more autonomy. Like, check it out. Could you see him someplace like being an offensive coordinator in Atlanta if they got
I was literally about to say Atlanta if they got Justin Fields.
if you got Justin Fields down there? That's the kind of quarterback. Because remember what Marcus Mariota was. Marcus Mariota was an RPO guy.
Sure was.
Okay. Well, when he got the head coaching job in Philly, who was the quarterback?
Vic, I think.
You think there's any coincidence to that?
Not at all. Also, that's why Marcus Mariota struggled transitioning into the
Was
league.
Vic a Pro Bowler?
He was a Pro Bowler under
Andy?
Let me double check that. That's a good question.
I thought he had Foles in that. Who was the coach for Foles when he was 26 TDs and 2 picks?
Chip Kelly.
Okay.
Chip Kelly.
Shit.
Chip Kelly. I think Chip Kelly drafted Nick Foles. And okay.
Holy shit. I mean, he was responsible for that. Dude, that was one of the best passing to interception ratios in the history of the league, that 26 TD.
Did you know
2 pick season?
Yeah. Did you know, right? Still to this day, Nick Foles holds the best record, holds the record for highest completion percentage in the playoffs.
Best substitute teacher of all time.
The best sub of all time, baby.
Dude, he really is, man. The best
Yes,
substitute teacher. So you obviously didn't like because of the whole Deshawn Jackson and
that pissed me off. That pissed me off because I didn't think they were the issue. But again, you got to crawl before you can walk, and we won a Super Bowl 2 years later, so sometimes you got to sacrifice a few heads.
See, and get this. Again, I know you guys love the guys.
I like Super Bowls more.
He wasn't wrong.
I love Super Bowls more.
Right. Again, those guys have a cow because of the way they were treated out the door.
And I get
which
it.
was not a problem. I agree with that.
And another thing, they probably felt like, damn, we could have been a part of that. You know what I mean?
So, no.
So I understand that. I understand their angle because they're players and you play. You know what it's like when you feel like a coach doesn't get the most out of you. You feel you know what that feels like.
The disrespect. You see, I think Shady and Deshawn are more upset that it's not that they were fired because it's the league.
Right.
I think it's the way they were handled.
Yeah, because Chip tried to accuse Deshawn of being a gang member. And then
what?
Yeah. You don't remember that? Oh my God. Yeah. They were trying to at that time, they were trying to spin it like Deshaun was a distraction. He was moving around with the Yeah. Yes. Everybody listen, the live chat remembers that. There was a point in time when they moved on from Deshawn Jackson, it was stories out there how
that's some gangster being from Berkeley.
Yeah. Because
the Berkeley gangster.
Yeah, because Deshaun's from LA. So they tried to say, Deshaun was moving around with gang members and Crips and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it got messy.
Was he throwing signs up during the games and such?
I don't.
No, I'm just asking. Where would he get that from?
I don't know. But yeah, that came up a lot. That was a tricky situation around that time, and they ended up moving him.
Man, where in the world would you go with that?
Also, remind you, we never heard any stories of Deshaun Jackson getting caught up in the mix. Never.
D-Jack's from Crenshaw.
Yeah, he's from that area. He's from that LA area.
South Central.
I think I don't know exactly where, but I know he's from LA, that area. I know he's from there. But yeah, I think
what? You want to hear something? I'm going to Crenshaw High.
Oh yeah, you told me you got ties there to one of the coaches, right?
Yeah, we have the coach. Well, we go there every year. My wife has a rugby game against Crenshaw High School girls. We were there last year, dude. Daryl Strawberry played on that field. Dude, there were so many guys. Hey, My boy Ice Cube meets me down there. I love going down there, South Central, man. And we have pizza, we sing. It's really cool, dude.
All right.
I
Okay,
mean,
here it is.
it's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite things we do.
My apologies. Deshawn Jackson's from Long Beach, California.
Okay, he's LBC.
Long Beach.
So
that's where. Hey, listen.
That's where Snoop's like
that's where
from. If I'm not mistaken.
That's where Snoop from.
That's right. I think so. Oh, he's from Long Beach Poly. Hey, get this. If I'm not mistaken, I think Antonio Pierce coached there in high school at Long Beach Poly. Hey, you want to hear a cool thing that Snoop does there with that Long Beach Poly? If that's Snoop's high school, you know what he does? He gives money to the high school's athletic department, dude. And you know what he does? They hire like who's Manzada? They hire all these NFL guys, and Snoop fronts the bill and pays the bill for all these coaches.
That's dope. That's dope.
Did you go in there and pay for all these NFL guys? So when you look at like Long Beach Poly and you look at the sidelines, you see like 6 NFL guys on the sidelines coaching on Long Beach Poly. Willie McGinnis went to Long Beach Poly too, man.
Did you know?
Dude, that high school is really famous for producing a lot of great ball players.
Listen to this. Did you know? Oh yeah, Deshawn Jackson went to Long Beach Poly as well. But nonetheless, did you know that Snoop coached CJ Stroud?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wait, was it in his camp?
Yeah. Snoop has a football camp that that he does every
IMG?
year. I don't know, but Snoop also has a movie coming out where he plays like a little league coach, and it's supposed to be based off of like his his football camp and all that kind of stuff. It's hilarious.
Wait, I'm gonna tell you where I met him. I met him in Orlando. Listen to this. So I'm in Orlando. My show's on in Tampa, Orlando, and Miami or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife and I lived in Orlando because it's in the heart of the state. We could get around, whatever.
Right.
So over at Disney, there's a football tournament. And there's a football tournament going on. Sure enough, there's this long drink of water. And he's just sitting there. And you're looking at him. He's got a hat on. He's got shades. And I looked over at my wife. I go, is that Snoop Dogg? She's like, dope. This is his tournament. He holds a tournament every year in the state of Florida. And I'm like, what? I went over and introduced myself to him, man. He's like, yeah, man. Oh, yeah. I'm a Miami guy that did it. And I'm going, yeah, that's awesome. He goes, oh, you know my boy Ice Cube. And then we went. That's how I met him. Was this guy puts a football tournament on every year.
He also has,
you know how many kids that have gone on to the NFL that have gone through that camp?
A lot of kids have gone through tournament.
He's instrumental in doing a lot of that stuff.
Definitely.
Man.
Snoop has camps in LA, like you said, Florida. Snoop also has a documentary that I think that comes on Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. That follows, or was it Netflix? I can't remember, but he has a documentary that they follow his football camps. Like Snoop is a big deal in football.
If I'm not mistaken, I think he's got something to do with that big high school in Vegas too. Like there's a really big high school in Vegas. I can't, Gaither or something like that. That's in Vegas. I lived in Vegas, and there's like a big school that is sponsored by Snoop Dogg too. That I think his kid may have even played there in Vegas at that high school. Greg Maddox. Greg Maddox went to this high school. Bishop Gorman. Way to go, MG. Bishop Gorman is like the big school, and I thought that Snoop had something to do with Bishop Gorman. It's a huge program, dude. You walk in there, a lot of college and a lot of NFL guys came out of that bitch.
Yeah, man. Look, we say all that to say maybe we need Snoop coaching the Eagles.
Elliot Spitzer Shore Parks put article out about Deshawn Jackson's so-called gang affiliations. Hours later, he was cut.
That's what happened. Thank you, Calvin. That's what happened. That's what happened. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. They couldn't prove it. Just because I got friends that do certain things, that don't mean I'll do what they do.
So wait a minute.
That's what they're implying.
Elliot Spitzer Shore still has the faith and the trust of the Eagle players after doing something like that. Damn, dog. I hate that guy now more. Man, I'll tell you what. You took money off that guy's plate and you smeared his name like that and had nothing to do with it? I sure, you know
Yeah.
what? I hope I'm not talking out of school. So I'm going to say this. I don't, I don't know, but I hope that that's not really what happened.
Yeah. Also, Anthony, Snoop is a Steelers fan. Snoop is a
Yes.
Steelers fan.
Yes. Yep. So wait a minute though, but an article came out on him. Let's say it's not Elliott's. An article came out on Deshawn Jackson and they cut him hours later.
All right, let's see here. See if I can find. This is 2014.
Damn.
This was written by. Yep, exactly. I just Googled it. Yes, this is when. See, this is before he was working for WIP. He was working for NJ.com. It's a 2014 article written by Elliot Shore Parks and AJ Perez, NJ.com. Deshawn Jackson's gang connections troubling to Eagles, published on March 28th, 2014 at 4:05 p.m.
I'd have beat that guy's ass. Dude, I'd have fought him. Man.
Gotta be careful. Gotta be careful to put out there.
You tell me and you get on my ass for saying shit about people and what I do, and you write an article and you blame a young man who's a football player who's doing the right thing, and you throw that shit out there like that, and you cost him a career in Philly. Don't ever tell me I did anything wrong in my career. That is so unprofessional.
And guess what? Deshawn Jackson came off of his best year as a Philadelphia Eagle. At 27, he put up 82 catches, 1,300 yards, and 9 touchdowns. And they moved him.
I'll tell you what, guys, you just won me over on Deshawn Jackson. I'll never talk shit on that guy ever again. Hey, I will never bring that Chip Kelly thing up, Tone, ever again, because his exit was not warranted and not cool. Dude, no wonder your community loves him so much, because he was so unceremonious.
And guess what? And also remember,
is he a Hall of Famer?
Eagles Hall of Famer, yes.
Eagles Hall of Famer.
He actually, remember, this past year, last offseason, I think he retired as a Philadelphia Eagle. So his relationship with the Eagles is fine. But whatever this article,
no wonder they're kind to him now.
Yeah, because they know they jumped the gun with that. They know they shouldn't have did that to him. They know. But he doesn't hold any ill will against them. He doesn't, which I respect him for. He comes back. He has a good relationship.
Well, I'm really glad that you're really not you, but I'm really glad that Deshawn Jackson is really a good man, because I would not.
I
would not have goodwill towards that. He
loves the Eagles. He loves the Eagles. Retired the Eagles, signed a 1-day contract, came to training camp.
You accuse me of being a criminal? You want me to forgive you?
They couldn't prove it. So,
okay.
They couldn't prove it. They couldn't prove it, and I didn't believe it either. That was around the time Deshawn Jackson was like, "I've never been a part of a game.
I don't ever want Chip Kelly in the NFL ever again."
Yeah, man, shit got tricky in Philly around that time.
Let me tell you something. That guy ever gets an OC job, that will come up with players in the locker room, because that guy's revered.
Deshaun Jackson gets a lot of respect around the NFL.
Okay, that guy's revered, and you think that'd be like hiring Gruden. I'll tell you what, Gruden or him, I don't know, man. What's the difference? Guy wrote some shitty emails, or a guy who got me fired for accusing me of being a gangster? I think they're both insane.
Exactly.
Shit. I didn't know that. Yeah. I kind of remember it, but I didn't know the particulars on the Deshaun. What happened with Shady?
I would have to dig a little bit deeper with that. I think the Shady situation was they were just, because I think they just paid him. I don't know what happened, but
did they trade him to Buffalo?
Yeah. Let me see what happened. Leaves Eagles.
Because he went up there like the first year Josh Allen was up there.
Yep. Yeah, he was there. He was definitely there for the Josh Allen era. All right. Here we go.
Oh, that's right. Traded for Kiko Alonso.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
How'd
So here we
Kiko
go.
play? How'd Kiko work out?
All right. Don't do me. Don't do me. Don't do me like that, man. All
How'd
right. Here we
Kiko
go.
Alonso work?
So it says here the Philadelphia Eagles traded Deshawn McCoy to the Bills. We got Kiko Alonso. Where are we?
Kiko was a former Duck.
All right.
Kiko Alonso.
Everybody was shocked too.
Well, for what? What? Kiko Alonso, or because he was traded?
No, the fact that LaShawn McCoy, everybody was shocked. Darren Sproles came out and spoke up, like, what's going on? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, man. They decided to move on from him.
Jeez, dude, this guy took a shit on two really.
Yeah, listen to this. At the time, right?
Alonso.
Listen to this. When they traded him, right? LaShawn McCoy, at the time, he had the NFL's third most rushing yards and fourth most rushing touchdowns since the Eagles drafted him in the second round in 2009. He finished that previous season with over 1,300 rushing yards, which was third most in the NFL.
Dude.
Sills, look, I gotta look, man. I got look, cut me loose, man.
Yeah, I am, man.
Cut me loose, man. because we're going down a rabbit hole, and you can make me upset.
You traded another guy away for Kiko Alonso.
Cut me loose, man.
What an era of football and Eagles, man. I mean, this shit doesn't get any funnier, man.
It hurts.
Wait a minute. Hey, the kid.
But now you know. But now you get our frustration with that situation.
Watch this. Guy's a gangster. Cut his ass. Who are we going to trade Shady for? Kiko Alonso. Kiko Alonso? Who the hell is that?
Now do you get why we get so angry about that situation? It makes it. They couldn't justify it.
Nothing is no. Yeah. I mean, they should have fired him then. I mean, dude, get this. If you're the owner of that team and you're Jeffrey Lurie and you allowed somebody to fire somebody like Deshawn Jackson, that had to be the end of the beginning for Chip Kelly. That had to be.
Yep. And then and I think at that time he also traded Foles for Sam Bradford. It gets worse. Listen, I'm telling you.
Howie did.
Howie was still in the closet at the time, remember?
Oh, that's right. Nick Foles for Sam Bradford. I'm going to let you go, Tone, because
yes, sir. I appreciate you, man.
This has been quite a history lesson on Philadelphia Eagles. Kiko Alonso and Sam Bradford. And Deshawn Jackson was accused of being a gangster.
Man.
Well, we covered it.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought, man? So this is always a pleasure, my friend.
You got it, my friend. I appreciate it. That's my friend Tone. Wow. Okie dokie. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.